right, Shalom. All praise to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honor to the apostles and the elders of GMS. Shalom to the hopefully elect. All right, and this is going to be a video entitled Testimony When Men Move Funny, okay? Or when camp members move funny, however it is. All right, so it's a testimony, and I'll just tell you straightforward. I'm going to start off with reading the scripture, and then I'm going to take off driving, and I will explain. So this is 1 Corinthians chapter 14 and verse 32. I'm going to start at 32. Now it says, and the spirits of the prophets are subject to the prophets. And we all know what that means, right? A man that's a prophet, you're going to come back in his light as a prophet. You're going to pretty much do what you always, not pretty much, you're going to do what you've always done. If you were a prophet in the old days, you're going to be a prophet in these days now, right? Those prophets, the spirits of the prophets are reserved into those that will be prophets, okay? Now it goes on, it says, for the Most High is not the author of confusion, but of peace, as in all churches of the saints. And we know, as it says, the Most High is not the author of confusion, right? As it goes on. Now I want to jump down. I'm going to go to verse 37. It says, if any man think himself to be a prophet or spiritual, let him acknowledge that the things that I write unto you are the commandments of the Lord. But if any man be ignorant, let him be ignorant. Wherefore, brethren, covet to prophesy, and forbid not to speak with tongues. Let all things be done decently and in order. And that's what we're going to go with that. Let all things be done decently in order. So as the title of the video is, When Men Move Funny. Okay? Testimony when men move funny. So I'm just now coming, so y'all excuse me, I just got finished working out, and I'm talking about or exercising, taking a walk, right? I did a 3-mile walk. That's what I've been doing. So I'm a little bit sweaty, but on the way home I had said I would do this video if the spirit permitted. So this video, it comes by way of inspiration of a situation that happened, and also a report that was given. Okay, so the brother that's here, the head of our region, I was speaking with him the other day, and I was giving him the report on something that happened at camp. So he advised, he said you should make a video about it. So now this is the video, because initially I wasn't going to say nothing about it. I don't even know if I was even going to report it, because it didn't seem like a big deal at the time. But in light of what happened with this guy from Columbus, and you know, us tightening up our ranks, infiltrators and different things like that, you know, it was decided through the spirit that this video needed to be made. So here it is in Salakia. So make a long story short, about 2 weeks ago, two camps ago, not the last camp we just had, right? Today being Thursday, but the camp before that, the last Friday, 2 Fridays ago, probably in the middle of the week, I don't remember exactly what day that it was, I received a comment on the comment board, right, from this individual. And initially I wasn't even going to say who the person is or the camp or nothing, but I'm going to go ahead and put it out there, because we're not in the time now where we're going to start trying to, you know, spare individuals' feelings, trying to cover them, trying to keep shit concealed. Nah, well, I'll just bring it out. So there's a camp called, down here in South Carolina, there's a camp called Men of Israel. Okay, that's just the title of the camp, Men of Israel. I don't know exactly how many members they got. They probably got upwards between 5 to 6 to 7 members. Now I know of the camp, but I'm not that familiar with them brothers. Nothing against them. As far as I know, they teach the same doctrine as we teach, right? So a year ago, they would have been classified as an affiliate camp. I don't know if they give double honor. I'm not sure. But they're familiar with us, you know, with GMS and all of that. Like I said, I think they teach the same doctrine as us. Anyway, I got a comment on the comment board from one of the brothers. At the time, I didn't know who he was. You know, he goes by the name of Yashimai, right? So he made a comment. He said, hey, can you tell me, and I'm not saying exactly how he said it, but something to the effect of, hey, can you tell me what day y'all go to, what time y'all go to camp? I want to come to the camp or whatever. I'm not, like I said, I'm not saying exactly how he said it. So I read the comment on the comment board, and immediately, you know, my first notion was to ignore it. You know, my first notion was to ignore it. But then after I went away from the video and I thought about it, I said, well, damn, you know, I ain't gonna just ignore it. I don't even know who it is. So I go back on the video and I answer back to the person, to the brother. I say, don't take this the wrong way, but not at this time. Meaning, don't come to the camp, right? Because we're not in the time now where we're gonna just openly fellowship with any person, the people that we don't know. He didn't use the word fellowship. He just said he wanted to come to the camp. Something to that effect. Anyway, I said, don't take it the wrong way, not at this time. And I just went on about my business. You know, I made the comment and I just left it alone. I didn't think about it no more. So that was either the Wednesday before camp or the Thursday before camp, which was last minute. Me and the brother go to camp on Friday. We set up like normal. We about to get started with camp. I look up, I see an individual coming my way. And I put the picture of the brother up, you know what I'm saying? No disrespect to them brothers or to him. And just putting it out there, okay? It's just a message to our brothers. Anyway, I look up, I see an individual coming my way. Me and the brother standing there. I recognize immediately, I'm like, okay, it's probably this brother that, you know, on the comment board. He didn't have a garment, he didn't have on fringes or nothing. He just had his Bible in his hand. And he comes up, and I say, you know, he comes up, he greets us, we speak back, you know, whatever. He just kind of, you know, I said, are you the brother from the comment board? And then he said, yeah, you know, he was real kind of, a little bit kind of wide-eyed, you know, like, I don't know what his deal is, you know what I'm saying? But he was real respectful. You know, he was all, yes, sir, no, sir, you know, and all that. And in my mind, I'm like, why is this brother, you know, talking to me like, yes, sir, no, sir? I mean, I know I'm probably older than him, but I'm not, you know, I'm not your daddy or nothing like that. I'm not your uncle, you know. But he was giving respect. So, I got no issue with that. So I'm talking to him, and I was like, did you read my comment from the comment board? And he's like, oh, yeah, I read it. I just want to come see, I want to come meet you, brothers, and watch y'all. I ain't going to say nothing. I just want to watch. So my thing is, I look at the brother, he look at me, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, what is this guy talking about? I think I said back to him, you want to watch us, you know. And he was like, yeah, you know, I don't know, you know, nothing crazy. I just want to watch y'all. I ain't going to say nothing. I'm going to just stand over here. So in my mind, I'm like, I said, but then you, on the comment, I said, now I told you on the comment board, don't take this the wrong way, but not right now. He said, yeah, I read it. Anyway, to make a long story short, he winds up coming to the camp anyway. Even after you asked it, I told you, not at this particular time. And I began to explain to him, I said, look, no hard feelings, but when people want to come and they want to come and I said, it's kind of hard when you don't know somebody and they come up and they want to stand there and watch you the whole time while we teaching. We focusing on the scriptures, but if somebody there that I don't know, right, I got to watch you, see what you doing, see if you're trying to reach in your bag, pull. I didn't say this to him, but this is the point I'm making. I got to watch you, see what you doing, see what you up to. Meanwhile, we're trying to break the scriptures down. We're trying to watch the people, looking for danger and doing all these things. It's and I told him, I said, it's uncomfortable when people want to come. It's uncomfortable when people want to come to the camp and you're trying to teach, you know? And he was like, yeah, I understand. It was like he was saying he understood, but I could see that it really wasn't registering with him. And I think he thought that I was going to let him stay, you know? Now, like I said, the one thing that I noticed, he didn't have a garment. Usually if brothers roll up on us, because I had a similar situation with another group of young brothers that came from another part of South Carolina. And I think these Men of Israel camp, I think they were in Greenville, South Carolina, which is a hell of a long way from Myrtle Beach. That shit is on the other side of the state. Greenville it's got to be more than 3 hours, I would imagine. And I began to ask him, like, well, what do y'all, you know, he began to tell me that, well, yeah, today Friday, but I'm going to camp tomorrow with the brothers, this, that, and the other. And I told him, I said, yeah, I'm familiar with your camp, which I am, but I don't really watch them. You know, I don't know them all that good or nothing. But I remember one thing that I had in my mind was the leader. I don't know if it's the same guy now, but the former leader of that camp, he came on our radar over a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, because he was making stupid moves, you know. This one leader, I don't know if it's the same guy, but he was making stupid moves over there. And brothers were looking at the camp, and we were saying to ourselves, this guy, he don't need to be the leader over there or whatever, because he making some stupid moves. So that put you in a negative light, you know. Automatically, the whole camp, it put him in a little bit of a negative light, you know. And I'm just being honest. I'm not trying to be, you know, mean or, you know, combative or nothing. I'm just being honest. That was really the source of my frustration, is the fact that your camp leader formerly was somebody that wasn't moving wisely. So that's really the only recollection I got of that whole camp, was that individual that at that time was the head of the camp. Anyway, I didn't say this to this brother, but I through talking to him, I learned that he'd been in the truth for 6 years, okay? So to make a long story short, what I wound up doing was I just told him, I said, well, look, don't, he said, well, I just want to meet you brothers and this, that. So what we did was I told the brother to come closer. We saluted, right? We kind of shook hands. We greeted, as Israelites, And after that, I sent the young man on his way. I went ahead and dismissed him and told him, look, we about to start up camp, but maybe another time. And I could see that he went away. He was kind of disappointed or whatever, but you know what? You got to learn how to take instructions. You got to move. And that's why I read that all things be done decently and in order. And he also told me too that he had met, I don't know if he said he fellowshipped or if he said he met the brothers from GMS Midlands camp, the South Carolina Midlands camp. Now all them brothers, they got my phone numbers. Them brothers, we close knit here in the Carolinas and in all GMS. So if that brother wanted to come to the camp, the answer probably would have still been no, but he could at least contacted them brothers, got them to contact me, or he could have reached out to the Charlotte brothers and got a hold of me through that. Or he could have just came on the comment board in advance or whatever, got his camp leader or somebody. One thing you don't do, you don't just show up at the camp, especially after you've been told no. I declined having that individual come to our camp, and he wound up showing up anyway. And like I said, he showed up, no garment. He didn't even have a garment, in a bag or nothing. He just showed up with his Bible. And I'm like, what was that all about? Why would you do that? So, it could have been something. It could have been nothing. It's probably nothing. He seemed like a nice young guy or whatever. But at the end of the day, we're going to stick with protocol. Okay? And I kind of stuck with it. Because normally, that's happened 1 or 2 times. Guys showed up that, didn't notify beforehand. It just kind of showed up. And we let them stay. We let them stay. And we in the spirit of brotherhood. But in this particular instance, since you reached out and you asked, and I said no, and you showed up anyway, therefore I sent you on your way. Now, to put it out there, we don't want men just coming up to the camp that we don't know. We don't want that. But I get it. Sometimes Jake gets zeal and they want to come and they want to come to the camp or whatever. And really, if I wanted to be a part of the camp, that's what I would do. But that's in the event that I want to join. I was trying to get in the camp. Right? The thing where men say they just want to meet you. I just want to meet you, brothers. I just want to see y'all, because from his point of view, he just wanted to see us. He just wanted to watch us in action or something like that. To me, that's kind of, that's a little bit weird. Because, my thing is, if all you want, and I told a brother in the camp this, I said, if all you want to do is watch us, you could just watch from home like everybody else. Like, anytime you want to watch us at camp, you can go on the channel, because we're not celebrities. We're not entertainers. We're not famous people. We ain't on it like that. All we want to do is we want to teach and we want to go home. We want to bring out the truth. We want to go home. And it's better for us when we can teach the word with no distractions. The people are a distraction, but we expect that because we out there to teach the word, to preach to them. But a guy standing over here, it just create an awkward dynamic. You standing across from us, people coming up and down the sidewalk, they start feeling like they're walking in the middle, like it just creates a weird dynamic. So, to anybody out there that just want to come to the camp and just watch us, no, we don't want you to come and just watch us. If you want to just watch, just stay home and watch. Just watch us on the live stream like everybody else. Now, if you a brother that you interested in being a part of the camp, you're gonna come to the camp, and once you start coming, you're gonna come every week. You're gonna have your notebook. You're gonna take. I ain't even gonna tell you what to do. We know what we're looking for, and when we see it, we know it. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have to show some diligence. Then it's gonna take some time. We're gonna make you wait. We're gonna put you through stuff, and all of that. With that being said, though, I'm gonna say this to you different brothers. I speak for the Carolinas, but really the sentiment is for for everywhere, because the apostle said this. A decree went out already that men that were so-called affiliates, that there was a period of time and a period in time where you could come into GMS if you were affiliate brothers. We knew you already, and everybody that wanted to do that, they made it known, and they came forward. There was a lot of people that knew, and everybody knew about it. There was a lot of men that didn't come forward. You different camps in South Carolina, the time came and went for new brothers that were affiliates to be thought of as affiliates to come into GMS, and you didn't. So now that you did, that time passed, ain't no need to say I want to come fellowship with y'all. You had an opportunity for that. For right now, the fellowship that part is closed off, man. You know, at the end of the day, just do the work, you know? And I don't mean to be mean or nothing, but we don't want to meet you. I'm just speaking for our camp. I don't want to meet you. The brothers that's in GMS, they in GMS. The brothers that's going to come in, the Spirit going to bring them in, okay, great. Nobody's interfering with that. But if you in a camp in South Carolina and you didn't come forward and you had your own camp and the affiliate time was here and you didn't come in, my question is, why did you come in? That was your time to fellowship and to come in and be in the fold, but you're not. So just do your work. Just do the work. That's all. Like Yahushua said, you know, there's no man that can, how did he say? I forget. You know, the scripture is something to the point of there's no man that can lightly speak evil of me. Something like that. I'll probably wind up putting it on the comment board. By the time y'all see this, you know, you may wind up seeing it. But hey, if you're doing the work, you're doing the work. Be confident in that. You don't want to meet anybody. And I say for this particular brother in that camp, I don't know if your camp, your heads of your camp knew about it or what. I don't know. But you know, we ain't got no contact. I wasn't gonna make, you know, reach out and say nothing to nobody about it because it's not a big deal. You know, but it wasn't a big deal at the time, but I didn't want it to turn into a big deal. You know what I'm saying? And Salakia, you know, I know the wind was kind of loud, but I was cool enough. I just turned the AC on. So you know, I didn't want it to turn into a big deal. It's not a major issue. Like I said, I got no beef, no ill will towards them brothers in that camp, to that whole camp. You might be beautiful brothers. You probably are. But everything got to be done decently in order, you know? And I don't have, like I said, I ain't saying it on no malicious shit that I don't want to meet you. I'm just saying that, you know, at this particular time. Oh, and then one other thing, when the brother came to the camp, he said something to the effect of, well, I understand, I know it's a lot of agents and stuff, and my mind wasn't even on that. So when you said that thing about the agents, that rung a bell in my mind, and I at that point I was like, you know, this is just strange. Have a man just show up after you told him don't show up, come up with no garment, you know, just like the whole situation was just weird. It was very strange to me, and I didn't like it. It was uncomfortable, and I didn't like it. Now, at the end of the day, I know that we ain't in the truth to be comfortable, but I'm saying things that we can't control, we control. And I can control who rolling up on me at camp, you know, this, that, and the other. If you ain't serious about the word, if you ain't trying to be a teacher, you ain't trying to be a preacher, you don't need to come to the camp to look at us. You have the luxury of watching on a live stream like everybody else. So take that luxury. Because you know what I'm going to do? If I just like a particular brother, a particular camp, and I was somebody that was just watching, and I wanted to watch them, I just watch them. Like, oh shit, this is my favorite teacher. I'm gonna turn it on and watch you from my house. I'm not gonna subject myself to the elements, go out there, you know, risk getting into some shit just to look at me and teach. And we don't, and frankly, like I said, we're not celebrities, and we don't want to be watched and looked at, you know, poked at and prodded like we some type of, you know what I mean? I mean, the scriptures do say we are a spectacle unto angels and unto men. I get that. But this is an individual, you in a camp, you know what it's like to be in a camp. You said you've been in the truth for 6 years, so you already know what it's like. You ain't learning, right? You in the camp. You in a camp, you got other brothers with you, you got on the full garment while you're at camp, you're reading, you're speaking and doing all of that. There's nothing great about saying, yeah, I want to go to the, you know, I want to go to the camp in Myrtle Beach. Now, the brother didn't give me no explanation. He didn't say, hey, I'm working, I got my job bringing me down there, and I was wondering while I'm there, can I come by the camp? Or my family coming, we taking a trip there, and I thought it'd be nice to come by and meet you, bro, or whatever. It wasn't nothing like that. It was just on some, hey, I want to come to the camp, I want to watch y'all or whatever. And I'm like, no, I don't want to be watched. I'm being watched by the congregation already. You know what I mean? So I mean, you know, that's really it. So as the scripture said, let all things be done decently in order. And that was you was moving funny, you know. When I made the report to the, you know, to the elder brother, you know, he was like, yeah, that's some weird shit, man. It's just strange. So, hey, it is what it is. Men make mistakes, young men make mistakes, and we understand that, and no ill will. You know, you might be probably beautiful brothers over there. I got nothing against you brothers, man. Nothing against the men of Israel camp or to that individual. I think his name is Yashimai. Nothing against you, brother. But you know, you was out of order though, you know. And I'm using this to edify the other brothers out there. Don't make moves without notifying, you know, making the proper hookups to our brothers out there in GMS. If you know, you're gonna be doing something, let brothers know what you're doing, man. Okay? Because anything, if you're doing something and you ain't reporting it, then it's going to look funny, man. So just, you know, be 2 steps ahead instead of 2 steps behind, man. All right? So that's it. All praise to Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai, and double honor to the apostles of GMS. All right? Shalom.